Hello, everybody. I'm Mike Rains, a.k.a. Poker and Politics, and welcome to the special Dallas edition of HellwQrld Adventures Therein. I'm dyslexic or psychotic or all of these things as I babble incoherently. But guess what? I completed my Hajj. I went to Dallas. I went to Dealey Plaza, and I was joined by Haley, a.k.a. Arizona Right Watch.
It's me. I was there. I was in Dallas.
Yes, the two of us were in Dallas. We went to Dealey Plaza. We visited that majestic place.
Deep cuts. We did deep cuts.
We did the deep cuts. Yeah, we did all the assassination stuff that there is to do in Dallas, with the exception of going to Parkland Hospital, which don't know that they're really that keen about people gawking it there, because it's kind of a hospital where they try to do work and stuff. They're like, yeah, by the way, the president and also his assassin, and then his assassin's assassin all died here. Ain't that a thing? But yeah, so this is the magic and majesty of Dealey Plaza and the events around there as well. So I got into Dallas. I was on Spirit Airlines, the worst airline in the world. My plane landed in Dallas. I was packed in that plane like a sardine. They don't give you much comfort or space. And then we stayed on the tarmac for an hour before our gate was open, which was absolutely delightful. And the whole time,
just texting me like 1% left.
Yeah, I'm texting Haley about how my phone's about to die because, like a super genius, right as I was getting to my seat, my battery for my phone fell out of my hand, and because I had no room to operate, I was just unable to find it. And it turned out I was sitting on my battery the whole time. And so I managed to unbrick my phone when I got into the airport, so I was actually able to message Haley and let her know where I was, because that would have been super deluxe fun if my phone had completely bricked while I was in the airport with having no way to...
It's like a huge airport, too.
Oh, yeah. It's Dallas-Fort Worth is a massive airport, and It was when we get to our leaving Dallas, my experience at the Dallas, not as bad as Haley's, spoiler alert, but boy, it was not great, is how I will describe my exit from Dallas.
Mine went smooth.
Oh, smooth as sandpaper. So I get it. So I get in, find Haley. We get to my hotel, which is located pretty much at Dealey Plaza. And then I crash for a while, and then we reconnoiter and we start our adventures. So
we met at sundown.
Yes. Yeah.
We met at the assassination site at sundown.
Yep. We met at Dealey Plaza at sundown. And the first thing that I really noticed from Dealey Plaza when I was there is that it is very small. It is not this massive piece of land where this thing happened. It's very tiny. I think people think that because it has a title like Dealey Plaza, that it has to be this like big stretch of road and large bit of territory. It's like, no, it's actually really small. It's
just like a corner.
It's basically like a corner turn. You're on that road when you commute on that road, you're in Dealey Plaza for maybe like 10 seconds. Like, it's 10 seconds of driving.
It's so funny too. It's like a main road that people take to work. It gets to the freeway, and it's just like everybody's taking photos in the road. They're playing dead in the road.
Yeah, the one thing you learn, I became a expert on how to take a photo while you're standing on the X that indicates where Kennedy got shot in the head. And basically, there's a lot of foot traffic in Dealey Plaza, and if you just watch the crosswalk, that's when you can block the cars off, so you can run over to the X and get your photo and pose on the X dramatically or triumphantly, or however you want to do it. I was there for like a half hour one day, and I was just watching all these people get on the X, and it was just so funny. They have another pair of X's for where the magic bullet hit Kennedy and Connolly. And one guy ran over to those and got a photo. And then about like a minute later, he realized he got the wrong X. So then he ran over to the murder X and got his photo on that. And he like really, really aggressively posed for that murder X photo. He did like a double finger point to the X on the ground. Like, look, it's the X. It's where Kennedy got murdered. Yeah. And I was just like, man, this guy's almost going full waz up. I mean, this is intense. So I got to,
I just did handguns.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Haley wore out her handguns. She was doing a lot of handgun shooting in Dealey
I was
Plaza.
like, pow, right in the kiss over and over. I'm
Yes.
sure everybody was very like, that's respectful.
The one thing. That was one of the funniest things was Haley had this idea in her head that there would be some sort of decorum in Dealey Plaza, that there would be some level of tact or integrity, because she had brought stickers to tag things with, but she didn't bring any for Dealey Plaza. We got the Dealey Plaza, everything's tagged to shit. There's
I was shocked.
Everything's tagged to shit. There's graffiti
there was Patriot
everywhere.
Fart stickers that you removed. That was very anti-fascist action of you.
Yes, I am Antifa incarnate. I managed to get my long fingernails in there and rip a Patriot Front sticker off of a sign. That
it was desecrating your spot.
Yes, it was desecrating my sacred ground, my holy land.
I love this was one of my favorite parts, honestly, was how like tagged the grassy knoll fence was, with just like random comments. Like one was, "We're all patsies." Some were just telling you to watch certain documentaries. This one says like, "It was the Badge Man. Check out documentary Who Killed JFK." One's, "Where's the Umbrella Man?" Some say it wasn't Oswald. One of them that's directly in front of like the so-called kill shot sewer, right?
Yeah,
Is that
yes.
the sewer drain?
The storm drain. The negative 48 storm drain. Yes.
Yeah, that right above that you can see point of view, you're about to kill JFK, and then like it says that like the storm, the killer, the spot is right here. If you just look above. Nothing bad happens to the Kennedys is written twice, if you want to explain that one.
That is a reference to the show Clone High, where all these famous people are cloned and brought to a high school. And in that show, JFK is an obnoxious jock jerk, and Abraham Lincoln is the dorky nerd. And in that episode, Kennedy and Lincoln are having a street race, and JFK is about to win. And as he is about to win, he shouts, "Nothing bad ever happened to the Kennedys." And then his car jackknifes and crashes, and he loses. So, yeah.
There was also tags on the bridge that were hilarious, like the walking path bridge. Is that where like the negative 48 people hung out?
It could be. I that would be more of a karma thing than a me thing to know exactly where those. I mean, because I would assume those people congregate on the grassy knoll, because the grassy knoll is like all the action. So
it was just so funny. All the tags up there. It was like, "I'm so horny" and like King Cock and shit. It was like very respectful. Actually, before you got in, there was a sticker citing, just on the side of the road, and it was a negative 48 sticker. It was like some gematria ass shit.
Oh yeah, it was like I drained the swamp 147, something like that.
Yeah, I caught the swamp 174. Yeah, that's funny.
Yep.
So there's still some small sightings even after he went.
Allegedly. We, for all we know, Michael Protzman faked his death, as did both JFK Jr. and JFK Sr.
True.
Oh yeah,
and Jesus or something.
Yes.
Oh, the first night we saw we went to the obelisk, and you told me about how that's a Illuminati ritual site.
Oh yeah, obelisks are Freemason stuff, and so there are a lot of conspiracy theories. There's an obelisk basically it's right next to Dealey Plaza, and so the obelisk is within easy walking distance of where Kennedy was assassinated. So people like to talk about how the deep state had their watchful eye upon Kennedy during his murder, because they had this obelisk, like the Washington Monument being an obelisk. That pisses off a lot of people. I remember when QAnon planned to do their first big in real life meet and greet, and it was going to be in Washington, D.C. at the monument during 9/11. People were like, "Ooh, obelisk, ick, no, hard pass." And
optics.
Yeah. Oh, it's God, is it all about optics? God, is it all about optics?
But yeah, also the first night we went to it was the only time we went. We didn't even go during the day to get like any decent shots, because I just didn't give a shit. But that weird memorial, the open tomb, it's like not at Dealey Plaza.
there's this very odd memorial to John F. Kennedy that I didn't even know existed until I went there, and it's pretty much just a little ways away from Dealey Plaza, and it is this concrete, just this giant concrete slab. It's very tall. It's like 50 feet tall. And you have to read the presentation of it to understand what it's about. And it's basically a concrete slab that just has gaps in each side. And the idea is that it's an open tomb, and that like, John F. Kennedy his spirit cannot be enclosed. It's not like trapped. It is like freely roaming in America. His spirit is among us. And in the middle of this giant concrete slab, inside of it is a little black riser that just it's like little, like, it's not even like a foot tall. It's like 8 inches tall. It's just a little black platform that just says John Fitzgerald Kennedy in gold at the bottom of it on one side. It
indents in the ground, and it's like you're gonna trip in it.
Yeah, if you didn't know what it was, if you walked in from a side where John F. Kennedy's name isn't on it, you could trip on it. It's really weird. It's
a weird memorial all around.
It's really just not. It's incredibly abstract. Is basically the main thing of it. There's just not a lot to it, and you have to be told what it's about to get it. And I would think that I would want something a little more personalized, something a little more about the man, because and I'd mentioned this to Haley, that on the stand, instead of just having it be just that tiny little black riser that just has his name on it, you could put a sculpture of his rocking chair on it, because that was like one of the famous bits of the Kennedy mystique, was that he famously had a bad back. So he didn't like sitting in regular chairs. He liked sitting in his rocking chair for his bad back. So like putting a sculpture of the empty rocking chair on top of that little stand would have been something that could have conveyed that like this was John F. Kennedy, and now he has passed, but his legacy remains and endures with us. You don't even have to do a statue.
I think it should have been like a 50-foot tall statue of him in pure gold buff with a Superman cape on. I think that would have been better. That's
going to be Trump's memorial.
That'll be his memorial.
That's what they're going to do for him. I think we've mentioned this a million years ago on the pod, but that was actually Trump's plan when he got out of the hospital, when he didn't die of COVID, that he literally wanted to walk the White House grass, and as he did so, he wanted to unbutton his shirt and have a Superman shirt under it. And his staff said, like, don't, buddy, don't, no. Hard pass on that. They had to talk him out of the I didn't die of COVID, and that makes me Superman little gimmick. So yeah, but the Trump memorials will not be anything abstract. They will be as tacky and in your face as humanly possible. And
it won't be an artistically haunting tomb that's meant to elicit sadness. It'll just be really obnoxious.
No. It'll be meant to elicit people screaming, "Where we go one, we go all," as they go by it. Yeah, that's what it's going to elicit. Oh, yeah, it's going to be like an animatronic Trump robot doing what QAnon calls an air cue. Because do you know what an air cue is, Haley?
Was that just like?
Yes, yeah, it's an air cue. But this is the thing: is that if you ever watch Trump at a rally after the rally's over,
and he's always like,
he's pointing. Trump does lots of pointing, and then every so often he'll just do a circle with his hand and a point. And people have translated that circle and a point into an air cue, where he does a little circle point and then does a jab with his finger, and they create this alternate reality where he does the circle and then he draws the line for the cue, and he never does. It's so funny. I've even seen them do animations where they like trace where his finger went, and a lot of times it's like a C with a line and other stuff. He's never done an actual air cue, but that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a 50-foot tall animatronic Trump robot that does air cues, just banging out the air cues.
Actually, when I was in because I was in Texas for a little bit longer than you, and when I was in San Antonio well, I took the train in. There was a like kind of like a Madame Tussauds, but I think it was called something different. And there was actually a gigantic Trump and Biden head.
Yeah.
I'm sending it to you right now so you can get a load of that. And like the lights were flickering in the building, so it kind of looked a little bit evil. Like these things are like as tall as me. It's just a giant head.
Yes, I see these giant heads, and I gotta say that the Biden head just looks like really cheerful, and the Trump head looks like smug and disinterested. The Trump head's
And
just
like
sort
the
of
lights
like
flashing like a strobe in there because the light was kind of busted. It looked extra evil, you know? Oh, speaking of my road trip, I didn't mention this time around. I went to Waco. That was interesting.
oh yeah,
Drove by.
Tell us about your magical trip to Waco.
It was interesting because it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. I stopped by this thing called the Magnolia Market on the way to the actual Branch Davidian like massacre site. And like for those of you who don't know, like me, there's these two silos in Waco proper, like the city, that have been like, I don't know, bought out by some, I've been informed, HGTV couple who is like popular in, I don't know, interior design TV world. And I stopped by this like thing called the Silos or something. And it's just like, I don't know, knitted pillows, knitted scarves, knitted everything. Here's a cupcake store, and I don't know. I don't get it. But I went to the a little bit farther out. You go about 15 more miles, and you just keep taking like road to nowhere, and you get to the Branch Davidian compound, and like it's technically still there. There was like a couple trailers and like kids running around barefoot. But nobody was really very friendly, even though you're technically allowed in there. And there's not really much there except for like the small rebuild of the church that they did, and then like a gravestone with all the people who died, and just like it's clearly pro cult, you know, like it like refers to Koresh as like the prophet, and it has like a pretty big monument to the seven shepherds of the like Advent movement, and it has Koresh at the end, so they're still like memorializing him. And then there's also a like a gravestone and memorial for the OKC bombing, which I thought was interesting. Guess I feel a little guilty there.
You told me about that, and I couldn't wrap my head around it. I'm like, what does this have to do?
Okay, so Timothy McVeigh was like, I mean, obviously white supremacist beforehand, but like he kind of got like even more radicalized into his like anti-government beliefs after Ruby Ridge and like the Waco massacre. And the OKC bombing actually occurred 2 years to the date of the Waco massacre, so it was kind of like a, you know, little sign, little reference there, you know. So anyway, that was interesting. I thought the memorial for the OKC bombing was kind of
interesting, of place and bizarre.
Yeah, it was a little interesting. I don't know. And then like, yeah, the fence is like gated that they have, and it has like a like logo for the branch, and it says the branch our righteousness, and it's pretty interesting, I think. So look.
Yep.
But yeah, people still live there. There was horses running around. It was definitely weird vibes. I did not feel like I was welcome, so I bounced.
Yeah. So I just went straight to Dallas. I had no fun sightseeing road tour. And the thing that was really funny was, so each day I was in Dealey Plaza was like slightly different than the previous ones, culminating in a hilarious Sunday, which we will get to. But just getting my lay of the land, as I said previously, it's very small, but on top of it being very small, it being there really demystified a lot of the assassination for me, because it was just very the grassy knoll, the angle doesn't work for the gunshot that all the conspiracy theorists like to talk about. They like to talk about the excuse that they like to use for the fact that Kennedy was shot from the front, but the doctors at Parkland Hospital didn't notice that, is that they blame his thick head of hair for concealing the entry wound because he was shot in the right temple, and that was right through his massive weave, his massive flowing locks of hair.
Those Kennedy curls.
The Kennedy curls, yes. So if he'd been shot in the right temple from the grassy knoll, from that angle, it would have absolutely have like just blown out the left side of his head, and it would have just turned Jacqueline Kennedy into a Tarantino film like immediately. Like she just would have been caked in gore instantaneously. And we know that didn't happen from the Zapruder film, and so. And it nothing lines up. The storm drain, when I was standing on top of the storm drain, never mind inside the storm drain trying to poke a gun out, you barely have line of sight on the X standing on top of the storm drain. So to imagine that you could possibly have line of sight on it when you're inside the storm drain is nonsense. And the other thing that's really funny is that when Protzman was alive and he was talking about this shit, Protzman was one of these Zapruder film hoax truthers. That there are a lot of people who think that the Zapruder film was edited, that it's a lie, that the Zapruder film hides the fact that the limo came to a full stop. And if the limo came to a full stop, that would mean the Murder X is not where it's supposed to be. That it should be back further because the limo didn't make it to that spot. So if the limo's even more feet backwards from where it's supposed to be, it'd be even harder for you to shoot from the storm drain. So the whole thing is just nonsense. It doesn't work. And that's the main thing that I got from this, was that there really wasn't an angle where the frontal shot makes any sense. Whereas Oswald shooting from that window, I could do that. I mean, it wasn't Oswald's.
It seemed pretty actually easy. Like you can look out the window and it's like it's right there. It's not even that high of a building.
No, I mean, yeah. And Oswald had I think they said like a 4-power scope. So like he had a scope that was definitely helping him. And I've heard people say, "Oh, the angle was tricky." It's like, not really. Like, this was not tough. Like
you just look down and it's right there. You can see the X clearly.
Yeah, right. We're looking at it from like one window over because the sniper nest window is plexiglass off. Yeah, it's closed off. Basically, the 6th floor museum is very interesting.
We went there the next day.
Right. Yeah. So day two we did the 6th floor museum. And the 6th floor museum is very interesting because they do present everything in an historical context, but a lot of the museum seems to be very much about not being stringent about the fact that Oswald acted alone. They post a lot of stuff on the walls about conspiracy theories. They don't want to yuck anyone's yum when it comes to conspiracy theories. They really don't want to hit you over the head with, "Look, dum-dums, it was Oswald. Get over it." They don't want to do that because they know that their audience is mostly conspiracy based, and they know that the people coming there, the majority of them believe in a conspiracy. So they're not gonna crush you. They're just gonna give you all this evidence and they're gonna talk about it. The one bit of evidence that was really awesome at the 6th floor museum was Oswald's ring, his wedding ring, which no conspiracy theorist will tell you about. The fact that the night before the assassination, or I should say the morning of the assassination, his wife wakes up and Oswald's gone and he's off to work. And he left $170 and his wedding ring on the nightstand next to her next to her bed. So it's like, that seems ominous. That seems not great for a totally innocent guy who was set up by the government to take the fall for the assassination. For that, the guy to be like, "I bequeath to you all my money and also my wedding ring, dearest wife. You
just
surely
to work on a normal day."
just gonna go to work, normal day as usual. You know how you do on a Friday before you go to work. You just take off your wedding ring, leave a pile of money for your wife, and just go to work.
So treat yourself, baby.
Yeah, have a spa day, money. If $1.70 ain't enough for you, hawk the ring. What do I care? I just want you to have your best life to this fine day. You're not going to turn on the news in a little while and get some really bad shit. You're going to hear some really bad stuff. Like, what's really funny is he had tried to kill a general before this, General Walker, and he hit one of the. He shot through a window. Walker was in his house, and Oswald hit one of the frame of the window, and it deflected the bullet, so he didn't kill him. There's a part of me that just sort of wonders that because Oswald never went to his wife's house during the week while he was working in Dallas. Him going to visit his wife on Thursday and then going back to work on Friday with a large package that was allegedly curtain rods and all that stuff. It was all kind of out of sorts. There's really dark part of me in the back of my head that wonders if Maria Oswald had somehow put two and two together and been like, my abusive, unstable husband who tried to kill a general is trying to patch our marriage together, and the president's about to be in town tomorrow. Maybe I should be really nice to him or something. Maybe I should just be really chill. Maybe if I'm nice to him, he won't kill the president. And Maria actually said that in the Warren Commission afterwards. She was like, man, and maybe if I didn't tell him to fuck off, this all would have gone differently. But she, hey, when you're in an abusive relationship, you're probably not trying to do the whole conspiracy theory corkboard and string thing where you're like, if I reject my husband, he's going to go out into the garage and grab that gun,
bop the president,
and then bop the president. Right? I mean, it's just one of those things where it's just you after the fact, you're like, oh shit, that's a thing that could have set that thing in motion. Ain't that terrifying and bad? So yeah, that all. So just that wedding ring story was very interesting to me, and I'm glad that was something that people could read about, because you ain't going to hear that shit watching the movie JFK or any conspiracy theory movie where they're just like, the CIA or George Bush did it, they killed the president, or it was an accident, the Secret Service agent in the follow-up car shot him, which again, Dealey Plaza is really small. If someone fired a gun in the backup car behind Kennedy, people probably would have noticed. People probably would have reacted to that. They'd be like, oh my God, the Secret Service just killed the president. Ain't that a thing? I mean,
didn't we all just see that?
Yeah,
standing here on this small corner?
Yes. Conspiracy theories like that literally need decades between the event and when they're invented to come up in order to make it work, because the eyewitnesses who are there would be like, no, that didn't happen. I don't know what you're talking about. No.
There's even a really interesting part in the museum where it shows all the cameras that were used that day that that actually got photographic evidence of the day. And it showed the photo that the camera captured, and then it gave kind of information about the camera. This was taken at 0.4 seconds after the fatal shot was hit. This photo was taken on the oldest camera, so the processing is a bit grainy. It just gave this really interesting kind of mapping of the second all the cameras that were in the audience did capture the moment, that I thought was kind of cool.
Oh yeah,
it's just we all saw that thing. Hey, there's the guy up there. It's not that high of a building. Right.
That's the thing. That's one of the things about this is that the assassination is incredibly well documented. We have two different videos of the assassination. The Zapruder film is obviously the most famous one, but there's also the Nix film, which is less famous, mostly because it's shot from across the street. So you really can't see Kennedy getting shot. If you freeze frame it and focus in on it, you can actually see a little bit of the cloud of blood over his head when the headshot hits. But you're mostly seeing Jackie because it's from that side of the car, so you're not getting a lot of information on what happened to the president. But we have those two films, and we have, as Haley said, that exhibit there's like 8 or 9 cameras, like all lined up, and then they show you the photos of like when in the assassination sequence they were taken. There's like a famous photo from a press reporter after Kennedy's hit in the throat. You can see his arms are up, and you can see the Secret Service are turning their heads towards the book depository because that's where they heard the shot come from. And so there's just so much actual evidence, physical evidence, on top of eye and ear evidence that makes it really pretty clear that a Secret Service agent didn't accidentally just like slip on a rifle and shoot the president in the back of the head.
Or a guy just popped up out of a storm drain right in the middle of everybody, where everybody's standing. That's a good one.
The idea is that it's that he poked a gun up from the storm drain, shot the president, then pulled the gun back down, then ran out the sewers and got away. And that is because what you just said is kind of like one of the reasons why people go after the whole idea of the grassy knoll gunman is that, holy shit, that guy would be so goddamn exposed after he fired that shot. He fires that shot, and even in the aftermath videos, and there was one guy who was reporting, basically live reporting, radio broadcasting the assassination. He didn't know that's what he was doing, but you can see people running towards the knoll, and it's one of these things where if there was a guy on the knoll with a gun, someone would have seen him. Someone would have caught that guy because he was just exposed to the world. And the broadcast I'm talking about, basically this guy, he's given this very super cheerful, man, everything's going great, and here's the president, and man, it's just been an absolute banger of a day in Dallas, and things are just looking like absolutely peachy, not a care in the world. And then there's a pause, and then after that pause, he's like, it appears as though something has happened in the motorcade route. I repeat, something has happened in the motorcade route. People are rushing up the hill alongside Simmons Freeway. That is the actual verbiage he uses. And there are people that ran towards the knoll. Like after the shooting, there were a bunch of people run towards the knoll. And it's like, if there was someone there, I don't know how that guy got away. That guy would have been in a world of shit.
Did you see that they had the like telegraphs that were reporting live as it was happening? Like just the little sentences that they were kind of reporting as it happened.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting too.
Oh yeah. It is wild the amount of misinformation that comes out. Because this is one of those things where people talk about this shit, and this is how conspiracy theories get baked into all this stuff, because so much stuff is getting reported just helter-skelter, just everyone's frantic to get any little bit of information they can throw out there. There was a period of time where it was reported that Lyndon Johnson had been shot in the arm, or he had suffered a heart attack during the assassination, and neither of these things are true. Basically, what happened was when Johnson was rushed into the hospital, because the Secret Service are trying to protect him at this point, because they don't know if there's a conspiracy to kill everybody or not. And when he was being rushed into the hospital, he had like a jacket over his arm, and they thought that the jacket was on his arm because it was like they were trying to put pressure on the wound from when he'd been shot in the arm. And so like that kind of stuff came up, and this is why like literally every mass shooting we have in America, there's always a false report of a second shooter. There's always a false report of more than one attacker, and then within like a couple hours, it's one dude, and we worked it out. But then the conspiracy theories like, oh, they're vanishing the second shooter. Oh, they're making that go away. But I got the report here on my TikTok, and it's like, yeah, people are just flailing. It's the 72-hour rule. It's just everything. Information
changes.
Yes. Right. Exactly.
Which is like, yeah, you can kind of see how some of the conspiracies do, like from the beginning, it's like, oh, it's because like some people got obsessed with like the media report here, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the thing about the Kennedy assassination is that a lot of the decisions that were made led to a lot of shit that looked bad in hindsight. Like, Haley did not know about the nearly armed confrontation over JFK's body in the hospital.
Yeah, that was
funny. I had to tell her that story while we were at the 6th floor museum about how basically, so Kennedy's dead, and the Secret Service want to get Lyndon Johnson out of Dallas immediately because it's super dangerous and they don't know what's going on. And Lyndon Johnson's like, well, I'm not leaving without Jackie Kennedy, because me abandoning the blood-soaked widow of the murdered husband of the murdered president looks really bad. And the Secret Service are just like, well, Jackie is not leaving without her husband's body. And then Lyndon Johnson's like, well, then get the body then. And the Dallas hospital and the Dallas police are like, no, the state law says if you're killed in Texas, you get autopsied in Texas. And the Secret Service are like, fuck your stupid laws, we're taking this body. And it led to this ugly confrontation where they nearly drew guns. They nearly drew guns over the president's coffin. And then eventually the Parkland doctors just relented and said, fuck it, let him take the body.
Did you say like the cross broke off?
Yeah, there was a cross on the top of the coffin, and as they were jostling it, they broke the cross off it. It was a real ugly scene. And so now conspiracy theorists are like, they knew the body like was shot from the wrong angle and they had to get it out of Dallas before the proper autopsy exposed their plans. Whereas like that's the conspiracy side of it. The side of it that we have evidence for is just the fact that Lyndon Johnson really did not want to fly back to Washington, D.C. as the president while Jackie Kennedy was like in some hallway in a hospital in Dallas while some doctors were like, just a couple more hours, Jackie, while we carve up your husband like a turkey and make sure this autopsy is all official. I mean, like that's actually what he was trying to avoid. And like Jackie determined where the autopsy was going to be held because they were flying back to D.C. and they just said, yo, Jackie, we have to autopsy your husband. And she's like, why? And he's like, because he was murdered. We were going to have a trial for who killed him. And we need evidence against that person. And the autopsy is the best way to get that evidence. So we do have to autopsy your husband. And she's like, fine, fuck it, whatever. And then they were just like, well, where would you like him to have his autopsy done? And because they had Walter Reed and they had Bethesda in D.C. And she said Bethesda because he was in the Navy in World War II. So he should go to the Naval.
She's a big gamer.
Yes. Huge gamer. The Kennedy family big into Skyrim and Fallout, low level, that stuff. Yep. So yeah.
Okay, at the museum though, they had like a replica of the gun, which is like, come on, give me the gun. Let me see the gun.
Yeah, the actual gun is at the National Archives. They said. I don't know if it's being displayed at the National Archives, but it was very funny that the National Archives was just like, "Fuck you, you tourist trap museum. You don't get the real gun." The real gun is at the actual like real official building, not you people.
They did have the plate setting though of that he never got to eat.
No, yes, they had his lunch that he was going to have at the Dallas Trade Mart. They had the place set for the place set that Kennedy was going to have. His plate, his knife and fork, his cup, all of the stuff that was going to be waiting for him when he arrived at the Dallas Trade Mart they had there. I didn't see the video of it, but that's one of the bits of Kennedy minutia that exists is the videos of the Dallas Trade Mart. It's as one person said, it's one of the few times in the world where you could actually see news traveling through a room. Basically the Trade Mart gets the word and like it just washes over the entire room that, oh my God, the president's been shot. He's not making it here. No. And yeah, pretty much. And there's this very sad bit of video of someone taking the presidential seal off the podium at the Trade Mart because that speech isn't happening. And so like that, it's really odd. And they also had like photos of people that were past Dealey Plaza that had not heard the shots or anything. There are people still waving at the car as the car is now racing to the hospital. And I'm sure those people were like, what the fuck? Why was a Secret Service agent in the car? The shit. What was going on there? Yeah.
I did like the old the newspapers that they had of like kind of conspiracy stuff. Like they had that Clinton body count, kind of Clinton body count one.
Right. Yeah. Again, as I mentioned previously, they're very kid glovey with the conspiracy theories. And what Haley's talking about there is a snippet of a newspaper. It's basically kind of like an ad for a conspiracy theory where they talk about how all these witnesses to the Kennedy assassination died violently, and the odds of all of them dying violently is so mathematically small.
One from a karate chop to the neck.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, I wish I remembered that story. But that is one of the main things that conspiracy theorists love to point out, is this massive, sprawling conspiracy to kill everyone who was literally about to testify. It basically, if Twitter existed back in the day,
the whole thing felt like proto Twitter. Like all the reports coming out early and wrong, and just like it's kind of just quick little sentences. It felt like tweets. I don't know. A lot of it did feel a little bit like, okay, we've always been a little bit the same.
Yeah, what I was going to say is that if Twitter had existed back then, the meme would have been literally, the person who had recently been killed, I have evidence that JFK was murdered by a conspiracy, instead of I have evidence that would lead to the arrest of Hillary Clinton.
Literally.
Yeah, it's just that.
This one.
What Haley is showing me now, theater of the mind for you people, is there were 2 right-wing ads that were placed in newspapers the morning of Kennedy's arrival in Dallas. The first of which was was the one that's kind of more famous because it's visual, and it's the front and profile of Kennedy with the words "wanted for treason" under it to try to make it look like a mugshot, and it just talks about how Kennedy is selling us out to the communists. The one Haley showed me is the one that's like, "Welcome to Dallas, Mr. President," and it then asks a series of questions about like, why are the communists kicking our ass all over the globe, and why do you suck at your job, you soft on communism, pinko loser? And
just like 12 bullet points, like, why is this motherfucker a fucking communist?
Yeah,
just over and over.
Yeah, over and over again. It's like why are you selling us out to the Soviet Union, you piece of shit? And that one is one that Kennedy actually got his hands on that morning, and after looking at it, he turned to his wife and said, "We're heading into nut country." So just like, and this is the thing, is like, this is why a lot of people did not want Kennedy to go to Dallas in the first place, because he had just a few months previous to this, he had proposed the civil rights bill that would eventually get passed under Lyndon Johnson. And between that and the fact that Dallas had been very hostile to members of the Kennedy administration before this, it was just kind of like, buddy, maybe take a pass on Dallas. Maybe don't go there. And there were some Confederate flags in the crowd when he arrived at Love Field. Some people letting him know, hey, civil rights my ass, buddy, and all that stuff. But the crowd for the motorcade was shockingly pro-Kennedy, and up until the moment he was killed, basically, it was very undisrupted, very positive. Twice the president stopped the motorcade to shake hands with people because everything was just going so swimmingly. He's like, "Yeah, fuck it, I'm gonna get in a few more handshakes before I go to the Trade Mart. Everything's just going bang. Everything's just going perfect for Mr. Kennedy, the president. I'm killing it today." So,
Mike, you mentioned civil rights. I hear that it wasn't on the conspiracy wall. They had a conspiracy wall. And it's like, here's a bunch of conspiracies that are popular. It's got
the best part about that is the Cuban government, and then the anti-Castro Cubans are right next to each other.
Yep, it's got that, and then it's got the Soviet government, New Orleans scenario. We got investigative agencies, the far right, organized crime, Jack Ruby. It's just like a conspiracy wall with like a little paragraph for each one. You know what they don't mention is that, possibly black people did it. And when I was in the tour walking around, because, it's kind of packed in there, so Mike and I kept splitting up. And I'm like in a section that not all of it was like entirely about the assassination.
A lot of it was like the life of Kennedy before the life of Kennedy before his presidency,
some historical stuff.
Right. It was a lot about just like, here's more about Kennedy than him just getting shot. Here's like
the era.
Yeah. So in this section, they're talking about how civil rights are incredibly contentious, and how Kennedy wading into those waters was very controversial, and that's what Haley's reading at this point when she runs into the sky.
Yeah, I wasn't talking to him. I honestly thought he was talking to a wife or something, because he's looking at the civil rights wall, and he's like, "See, this is what makes me think that anybody could have done it. the blacks. And then he just walks the fuck away. And I don't think he was with anybody. I think he just felt the need to throw that in the ether. And I was just like, what the fuck? And it's so funny too, just hearing that when it's like, I don't know, there was like, it's like you see the FBI model of them like recreating the assassination and just all this like interesting shit. And it's just like, this guy sees a single black person on the wall and he's like, blacks did it. Black people did it.
Right. That's like when you have the sixth floor museum trying to painstakingly recreate the assassination and present you with all the evidence you could ever want to make up your mind about what happened. And then this guy is just like, civil rights, yeah, black people killed the president, obviously.
There was no other thing that pointed to that whatsoever, but I saw a couple of black people on the wall, and they did it. I don't know.
Just the most dumb, incoherent, just spouting your ignorance into the world statement you could possibly imagine. Just man, like that. I'm so sad that I missed out on that lunatic, because, as Haley said, the sixth floor museum is really weird because it's very busy, but it's also very small because it's just it's just one floor of the building Oswald was working in when the president got shot. So you are moving around to try to find all the little nooks and crannies because there's a lot to it. They cram a lot of gram in there.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like a maze of just history.
Yep, it's a maze of history. Like 80% the assassination, 20% just like Kennedy's life and what the early 60s was like and what was going on. And it was very interesting. And the other thing I found very odd about the sixth floor museum was the bankers' hours of the place. They know they got a captive audience, and they're not there to pander to you. You're there to see them on their time, because the sixth floor museum is closed on Mondays and Tuesdays, and it's open like 10 to 5 the rest of the week. And on the sign it says, "Period, point blank, that we sell our last ticket at 4:15." So if you're not here at 4:15 or earlier to get a ticket, get fucked. We know you want to come here. We know we have you by the balls. So we're just going to run this place the way we want to. It's like McDonald's cutting off breakfast at 10:30.
They wouldn't let me in the fucking gift shop the next day because I didn't have my ticket.
Yeah.
So we go to the gift shop, which was surprisingly tasteful. You know, they're not selling like they're not selling dead Kennedy shirts.
Right. They're not selling the autopsy photographs.
No, that's outside.
Yeah. We're getting to the ghouls in a moment.
You get like recreations of Jackie Kennedy's jewelry and like a couple inspirational quotes. Just like some Christmas ornaments, lots of postcards and magnets. I got the magnet of the
Oh yeah, the sign.
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about the sign yet.
Yeah, I know. The sign was so cool. Okay, so outside the book depository, the sixth floor museum, it has the official like Texas Historical Commission plaque. And it's like got a big old long like 3 paragraphs about like, why it's of what happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the end it says like on November 22nd, the building gained national notoriety when Lee Harvey Oswald allegedly shot and killed President John F. Kennedy. And like people have carved deeply, deeply around the word allegedly, like to the point where it's clearly a permanent like fixture in the sign, because my magnet that I got at the museum, you could see it like carved out in that too. It's just like people are always carving into it. So I thought that was kind of funny. They also carved around the 22, which is like, why'd you do that?
That I don't understand. But yeah, so basically, the theater of the mind, to explain this to people, the sign is like it's black. The sign is black. The writing on it is a dull gray. That is how you differentiate it. The word allegedly has the black carved out around it so aggressively that it's all gray around the word allegedly. People just absolutely went to town on this sign and mutilated it so that the it's basically the most primitive form of highlighting a word you could do. Like, I'm surprised that the word allegedly isn't like in hot pink or like the neon yellow the way a highlighter would do it, because they really want to sell you on the fact that it is only alleged that Lee Harvey Oswald killed the president inside the Texas School Book Depository.
So then, the next day, we hit deep cuts.
Yes. So after we did Sixth Floor Museum, the next day we went to the site where Officer Tippit was shot, and
this was hilarious.
Yeah, Haley loves the fact that there is a neighborhood crime watch sign literally about 10 feet away from where
it's just right across from the sign.
Yeah, right next to where Officer Tippit was gunned down by Lee Harvey Oswald. There's a crime watch neighborhood protection sign.
Big old eyeball.
Yep. And it's like, maybe they should have had that there in 1963. Maybe we could have taken care of some business if we had been more on top of our game back then. So we went to Officer Tippit's shooting site, which is literally, there is another Texas historical monument plaque there. But besides that, you wouldn't know nothing about nothing on this thing if you didn't know.
Nobody was there. Nobody was at this day. We didn't run into other JFK tourists we did.
No. Dealey Plaza is a magnet. Everyone goes to Dealey Plaza. Everyone's there. Yeah, we went into the weeds. We went into the deep cut. So we went to Officer Tippit's shooting site. Then we went to the Texas Theater where Oswald got arrested. But again, much like the Sixth Floor Museum, it's bankers' hours. They're on their schedule, buddy. You're not on your schedule. If you want to see the Texas Theater, you show up when we want you to show up. So
yeah, it was like 4 p.m. the day we went. They're like, it opens later.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, if you want to come back around 4:00. And FYI, Dallas is actually the hellmouth. It is actually the most terrible city on earth. It is an atrocity. I am super angry at President Kennedy for getting killed in such an awful place.
The roads are a bit bad.
The roads are horrifying. I live in Boston and we have terrible roads. Dallas somehow took the championship belt of horrible roads away from Boston, which I thought was an impossibility, but it achieved it. I mean, there were times when I was just Haley was carting me around, or I was taking Lyfts and Ubers. There was many times where I felt terrified, where I was just like, "Oh, I'm about to get killed here. This is going to end poorly." I mean, this is city planning, not so much when it comes to Dallas. If you're from New York and a nice clean grid system, you're not getting that in Dallas. Let me tell you, you are not getting that in Dallas. Oh, sweet baby Jesus.
You know what was across from the theater that was hilarious, though? A CBD store.
Yeah.
That may have been pilled because they had an interesting sign. It said that the CBD helps calm the storm, but we won't read too much into that. But it was called American Shaman. And for listeners who don't know, that's Jacob Chansley, aka the Q Shaman's rebrand after getting out of prison. So it was just kind of like the perfect mic melding, sandwiched in between the theater and Top 10 Records is American Shaman.
American Shaman CBD, where they tell you that their drugs help to calm the storm.
Yep.
That's so we went to Top 10 Records, which
that was so fun.
So Top 10 Records is another Kennedy assassination deep cut, because that is where Officer Tippit ran. Officer Tippit runs in the Top 10 Records, gets on the phone, makes a call, waits for a few seconds, doesn't get an answer, hangs up the phone, then gets back in his car and drives away. And minutes later, he is killed by Lee Harvey Oswald. So it has always been this question in the JFK assassination community as to who was Tippit trying to call and what happened. And because it was so urgent that he literally ran into this random record store to make the call, and then he didn't get an answer, and then he just dips back out, and then the next thing you know, he's dead. So it's just one of those things, like, what did it mean? What was it all about? Who knows
Illuminati.
What's going on? Oh, obviously, totes Illuminati.
Mm-hmm.
So what was funny was the clerk that worked there. he we talked to him, and he said that basically locals are just here for the music and to get stuff, and the out of
Yeah, he's like,
town.
where are you from? Nobody knows about the phone. Locals
Right.
don't know about the phone.
Right. Basically, he pegged us as non-locals because I went to the phone immediately, and that is a sign that you are a nut. If you go to where the phone is without looking for anything else first, you are a nut. And so yeah, and I mean, guilty as charged. So that was very funny. Was running in there, and so they have, much like the Sniper's Nest, they have plexiglass the phone. You can't get at the phone, but
there's a framed Tippet.
Yeah, they have a big photo of Tippet next to
Selena.
Next to Selena, yep. Which is,
it was more of a Selena store.
Yes, yeah. Well, Corpus Christi, that's like Selena country. Was that it?
Yeah, Corpus Christi is way farther down, but like this was the area that this was in was kind of like it was kind of like a Latino neighborhood when we went to this part, because there was like some pretty good restaurants around and just like, you know, candy shops and stuff. So yeah, there was like a big Selena mural on one side of the buildings we were walking around, and then inside this record store it was just like a lot of the merch was Selena focused because, you know, she's a big Texan icon. There was a sick ass punk album. There was a punk like compilation record called Bloodstains Across Texas, and it was 18 essential punk rock blasts, and the cover was Lee Harvey Oswald getting capped by Jack Ruby.
Yeah, inside the silhouette of Texas.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, inside the silhouette of Texas is Lee Harvey Oswald being shot by Jack Ruby.
It was not for sale though, so if any listeners have that one, let me know.
Yeah,
zines. Well, there were zines at the shop. That was sick.
The
guy could totally tell we were not locals, and he started asking us questions, which is like, big mistake, bud, big.
Yeah, Haley negative 48 pilled him.
No.
Yeah.
No, I thought we started talking about it, and you mentioned the guy that like walked in and was just like learning JFK history through Karma's posts.
Yeah. So what happened is Karma. I knew the layout of the store because a negative 48 guy posted a video online, because Karma was asking me about stuff to troll negative 48 people with. So I told her to put top 10 records as her location. So she did. And then this guy made a video where he was just like, well, I got a message on the internet to check out top 10 records to see what that's about and how they're connected to the Kennedy assassination. So here I go. And he walks in and he sees the clerk and he's just like, so what do you guys have to do with the Kennedy assassination? What's all that about? And then the woman gives the speech about Tippit and the phone call and all that stuff. And then the guy just walks out of the place. I was like, wow, that was really interesting. And just like me and Karma educating negative 48 people about the Kennedy assassination via troll location posts on her Twitter feed.
The guy looked so concerned. He's like, they came here. One of those guys came here. And then I started telling him all about it. I was like, it's okay. The guy went like splat. And then I started showing him photos of the Scooby-Doo bus. And we just started like telling him that. And then we were just like, okay, bye. And then we just walked out.
Yeah, just give somebody give someone a dollop of insanity. Just attack their brain for a moment, then flee the building. It's like we are literal monsters in a role play in a real life Call of Cthulhu game where we're just like damaging this guy's sanity. We just permanently reduced his sanity by 1 point. In 3 sessions, he'll be a gibbering moron. He'll be institutionalized with no hope of ever seeing society again. He'll be a permanent 5150. And the good work we're doing here. So yeah, we did top 10. We did the Tippit shooting site. We tried to do the Texas Theater, but again, bankers hours. So then the next day, Sunday, our last day in Dallas,
we go to the Western store and back to Dealey Plaza.
So Haley tries to get back in the gift shop, but they tell her no.
No, they're like, you need your ticket. And it's like, I packed it. I'm leaving today. And he's like, can't get in without a ticket.
Yeah.
I was like, I have a bunch of photos for me at the museum. He's like, ticket. I was like, okay, fuck.
these people hate money. I want to go into the gift shop to give you money, and the guy's
That's
like,
what
no.
I was saying. I literally said that. I was like, dude, I just want to spend more money.
Right, and they're like, nope. We have protocols. We will not accept your money without a ticket. Sorry,
Like, you might kill him again.
Right? Yeah. Oh yeah, that is. I hit a guy with that really tired joke because I remember a trillion years ago that when Garbage was on tour in America, that they went to the Sixth Floor Museum, and they made a message of the fact that they posted about the fact that on the wall it says like handguns forbidden, and they made a crack about, I guess rifles are okay, and it's just like, yeah, so it's just like that guy has heard that bit more than a couple times about the no guns allowed in the building. Because, oops, I guess Oswald missed that sign that day. But so that was the one thing, because Haley has the little tote bag. That's the one little cute thing they had there that I thought was kind of like on the nose, was they have the Sixth Floor Museum, and they just have all the windows closed except for Oswald's window. They just have Oswald's window opened halfway, the way it was on the assassination. I just thought that was a little kind of thing where if you don't get it, you don't get it. But if you know, you know. And I thought that was kind of interesting. But
there was a sweater that just said JFK assassination. It said JFK assassination, Dallas, Texas, November 22nd. And that's all it says. It's like a sweater, and it just says assassination like on his forehead, the printing. And it's just like, what is this? Why are we selling this?
I thought that was at the Wild West store.
Yeah, it was at the Western store.
Yeah, that was a little too tacky for the Sixth Floor. So the Sixth Floor Museum was like, their assassination memorabilia was more like reprints of the old newspapers that broadcast the news that Kennedy had been killed. But so we get rebuked. We get Haley gets the Heisman. She gets rejected by the Sixth Floor Museum. She's not allowed back in. And I mean, we probably had thought we had absorbed all there was to absorb in Dealey Plaza because we'd been there 2 days in a row.
Yeah, we kept going back because you were close, and it was just like something funny to do.
Yeah, but the thing is that it's incredibly small. When you've been there for a little while, you've seen it all. There's no, you don't think there's any new layers to it. But boy, howdy, were we wrong.
Yeah, cut to the first couple days. All we saw was middle-aged dad tours with guys wearing "Try That in a Small Town" shirts. But then Sunday, ooh, that was fun.
Yeah, so before, as Haley mentioned, the previous 2 days, the people that were making money off this shit were guys in headsets being like, and now we're in Dealey Plaza, and this is where the president was fatally shot. Blah, 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 blah. I'm glad you paid $25 for this tour. Or a couple guys that would hand out a pamphlet and tell you the pamphlet was free, but then if you tried to walk away from with them with the pamphlet, they would demand $5 from you to leave with the pamphlet.
And then you pull out your wallet, and they're like $10.
Yes, the guy hit me for 10 right after I grabbed my wallet, and I was like, buddy, you just said 5. And he's like, hey, whatever you want to donate, it's okay. I'm like, oh, this is a donation now. This is not a sale. Oh, fuck you. Yeah, so those guys, again, that's small potato stuff. The guys hawking $5 pamphlets, guys doing guided tours, wearing their yoga instructor headsets. I mean, just like whatever. Sunday we get in there, and holy shit, there is a guy. There's 2 guys on the grassy knoll. One guy is frontward facing on the grassy knoll, and he's got a sign that says JFK the Reckoning, and he's signing his books.
Marshall Evans. And
apparently, when I read JFK the Reckoning, I'm like, JFK is coming to kick some ass. JFK is pretty mad about this shit. JFK is like, you sons of bitches killed me 60 years ago, and now it's time to pay. So we had JFK the Reckoning on one side, and
he's cut some brutal autopsy photos.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Again, this is the thing: is that the Sixth Floor Museum, tasteful, historical, everything. This guy has just got photos of Kennedy's head all opened up, just dried blood everywhere.
Second by second shot of him getting capped in the dome, and it's like on a billboard, poster board up next to him.
Massive blow-ups of the Zapruder film, including the headshot where you just see the red cloud of blood surrounding the president's head, and then the aftermath, like the photos of the aftermath of before Kennedy falls over and he's off camera, where you just like see the side of his head is just blown out, like all the gruesome details, just absolutely.
Got binders that just read JFK autopsy, like.
Yeah. Right. Oh, yeah. Just absolutely the most ghoulish shit imaginable. And so we had him. And then on the other side, there was another guy selling another Kennedy book. And Haley got a little thing from that guy for $10, and she got it autographed by him.
Okay, this was hilarious. So, first of all, these signs were not on the wooden fence the first couple days we were there. This guy pinned his book, like his book ad, onto the grassy knoll fence.
Yeah, so
which I thought was so funny.
So basically, there's a little fence near the grassy knoll, and the Historical Society have recreated that fence to be as historically accurate as it was the day of the assassination. So that fence has that sign that Haley's talking about on it, and now I'll let her tell you about the other sign that was on the fence.
Yeah, it says book signing today, JFK, absolute proof. Author Robert Groden, who some might recognize that name, and then it says this is the famous grassy knoll. Another sign, hilarious. This is classy.
Yes.
Like, and then the guy that is like the Groden guy. He was signing his JFK, The Case for Conspiracy magazine, which I did pick up, and he did sign it, which was a hilarious interaction because we kind of had to go. Poker had to go to the football game, and I was about to go to the airport. And I was like, okay, well, I got to kind of go. And like, he was locked in a conversation, but his wife was like, he'll sign it for you. And she kind of held it hostage, like, he's going to sign it for you. And I was just like, okay, we kind of got to go. And she's like bugging her husband. She's like, Robert, sign it. And he's still blabbing. He's like, I'm talking, honey. And she's like, Bob, just sign it. And he takes it, but he's not signing it. He just puts it down in front of him. And she yells at him. She's like, Robert, sign it.
She's got to leave.
Yeah, she's got to go somewhere. And then she's like, here you go, sweetheart.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's just one of those things where it's like, you just tear your partner a new asshole. And then the moment you're done doing that, you're like,
I literally said that. I was like, y'all married as hell.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he signed my magazine, which was nice. And then I looked up this guy on Wikipedia while waiting in the airport. And here's a fun fact. Did you know that he served as a consultant on the Oliver Stone JFK movie?
Not shocking in the slightest.
Yeah, he was the expert consultant. And he also had 2 cameo roles. He was the Parkland doctor who was working to save JFK, and also the courtroom projectionist showing the Zapruder film, which is hilarious. And also this guy was he's been cited about 80 times for illegally selling those magazines on the grassy knoll because he doesn't have like a permit.
Of course. Oh God, no.
But he's won his case every time. Free speech, baby. Fuck you, Texas.
I wonder if he was the guy that told Oliver Stone to just get a smoke machine. Well, this is one of my favorite little debunks.
Make the guy's eyes black. He'd make him a demon.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That shit. No. But that's funny. I mean, the demon. That's Nixon, right? The demon. Yeah. So the demon CIA agent in Nixon would have been funny if they did that. But the movie JFK is supposed to be historical, and so he's using testimony from a woman, and the woman, her testimony changed over the years and became more and more aggressively pro-conspiracy and more ridiculous as time moved on. And she says that she saw a flash of light and a puff of smoke from the grassy knoll. And so Oliver Stone just takes her at her word, and he's just running with it. And this actually is a thing that us Oswald people like to bring up. So Oliver Stone, while he's making that scene, gets out all these different guns and fires them because he's looking for a gun that will generate a puff of smoke. And spoiler alert, modern firearms in the 1960s did not generate a puff of smoke. They just boom, just bango. That like you might get a flash of light, but you're not getting a puff of smoke. So eventually, Oliver Stone just gave up and used a smoke machine to generate the puff of smoke. He was just so desperate to get his puff of smoke. He was like, "Fuck it, fuck." Actually, trying to adhere to
Robert Groden said we need smoke. Damn it.
Yeah, Robert Groden wanted a puff of smoke, so we're gonna fucking make a puff of smoke. Yeah, so it's just that always makes me laugh that people like fucking take that movie seriously when they fudge the facts that egregiously. But so,
are you telling me that the guy who wrote JFK: The Case for Conspiracy and served as an expert consultant on that movie is not to be trusted?
I would assume not. No, but what Haley mentioned, which is so hilarious, is the fact that sign says this is the famous grassy knoll, and I cannot reiterate how small Dealey Plaza is. It is incredibly small. The idea that you would not know that there was a grassy knoll is impossible. Like maybe 1 out of 1,000 people.
Didn't someone come up to you and ask though? Is this the grassy knoll?
No, they didn't ask me. I wish they did because that would have been really funny and would have validated that sign. No. What actually happened was my interactions with people were at the Zapruder pillar, like the little concrete thing. I think they said they called it like a plat or something on the sign. But where Zapruder was standing, that's basically like my main interaction with people was just like talking about that. The Zapruder was standing on top of this thing when he filmed it, and I had a conversation with one group of people, but the only other time I talked to somebody was when the guy with the pamphlets came over and started trying to con those people into taking the pamphlets and getting money. And I just started kind of finishing that guy's story for him because I kind of wanted to steal his thunder so that he would seem less expert. So these people would not be conned into taking a $5 pamphlet. Because again, he hands it to you. He literally hands it to you and says it's free to look at. But then the moment you try to walk away from him, he starts hitting you up for money. And as Haley mentioned, he elevates the amount of money he's looking for as time goes on. So I was trying to like ruin that grifter's sales pitch by just being like, yeah, so then this happened. And I was just trying to become the tour guide. I was just trying to like shut him up. And then after I said all I could say, and then he started going into conspiracy town, and I just couldn't take it, so I just walked away. I'm like, fine, you win. I do not want to argue with you about if this guy saw people on the grassy knoll, then died in a car crash on his way to testify, and
aliens did it.
Yeah, the aliens. It was the aliens. That's about as logical as the guy in front of the civil rights poster and his theory on the assassination.
On the Sunday, there was also that hilarious, like, kind of just photo life-size photo of JFK that you could pose with, and it was like kind of blurry, and you could tell it gets folded up at the end of the day.
There was a giant sign, and the sign is basically on the left-hand side. It's John F. Kennedy life size, and then on the right hand side it's all white because it's very obviously set up for you to take a selfie with it. So you can go hang out with JFK where he got murdered, and
nothing but class.
Oh yeah, I have my photo in Dealey Plaza with President Kennedy. I was chilling with him. My friends complimented me on my color scheme.
You did look good. It was a match.
I had a lot of yellow. I was very yellow. And autopsy photos, selfies with the president, the famous grassy knoll. Yes, Sunday Dealey Plaza was, man, I am so glad I caught that because, boy.
I know, I was shocked they were out, and I was like, man, there's really no crazies out here. And then last day, it was just like, this is the best day.
Yeah, just absolute bonkers. Just pants on head insane. Just, wow. Totally out of control. It was great. So then me and Haley parted. We departed.
You went and saw your big game.
I went to...
How was Jerry World?
I went to Jerry World, and I can say with all sincerity that Dealey Plaza was the second most tragic place I went to that weekend because holy shit did the Patriots get the crap beat out of them. It was very funny. So Jerry World is massive, but it's also a very well-designed stadium. because even my terrible seats didn't feel that terrible. I felt like I was close enough to the field that I actually was watching the field. I just wasn't like. There are some stadiums like I could speak of, like the old stadium in Foxborough, the Patriots played in, where if you have a bad seat, you're just watching the Jumbotron the whole game. You're not even really looking at the field because it's just hard to access it. But I could watch the field. I could watch the game. It was a well-designed, modern stadium. What was really kind of funny was the in-house announcer. They have like preset things. They have this bullshit thing about how loud the stadium is. Not that loud. The Cowboys do not enjoy that. The Cowboys do not enjoy that intimidating a home field advantage. I wasn't going, oh, my ears are ringing. Oh, God, they're yelling so much. And also, a ton of Patriots fans were in that building. A ton. And we all got our asses out of there pretty quickly because our team got demolished. It was pathetic. And so that was it just sucked. It was uncompetitive. We were destroyed. Two of our best players got injured. I think they're both out for the year. I mean, it was just, there's no silver linings. There's nothing positive about this. This was just bad news from the jump. It sucked. So that all happened for me, which was no bueno. But and so then I get to the Dallas Fort Worth Airport, and so Spirit Airlines had messaged me like a month after I got my tickets, and they were like, "By the way, we've changed your flights, so enjoy your new flight at 5:45 in the morning, dum dum." Which I was like, "Well, fuck it, whatever." I mean, I've already tethered myself to this horrible company.
It was a big YOLO trip. We were just kind of here and there, taking naps in the middle of the day.
Yeah. So I'm at the airport at like 3:30, 3:45 in the morning, and I'm of the mindset that like, well, this will be quick because no one will be here. It felt like there was a shift change or something at the security station because I just got into line at security and the line did not move for like 10 minutes. And then finally it started moving again. And I was just like, what the hell was that about? Why was this line not moving at all? And then finally I got through that. And then I got on my plane, got home, and escaped. So it was an adventure. I did not gorge myself on Texas food as much as I thought I was going to, so that was funny. But I will say Whataburger lived up to the billing. In-N-Out, meh. What was the other one that's out there? Jack in the Box was fine. Jack in the Box, I've had that before, but In-N-Out and Jack in the Box were whatever. Whataburger actually was interesting because I DoorDashed it, which meant that it like had to be delivered. So I was like, well, this would probably be a little cold, not as good. And I was like, no, actually, the burger's pretty good. Chicken tenders, not bad. So good job, Whataburger, for being the fast food chain of choice in Texas.
We went to a good Jewish deli near Dealey Plaza.
Oh yeah, yes, yep.
Bagels, they were good.
Yep,
it was good. I liked it.
Yeah. So tell us about your domestic terrorism.
Okay. Okay, so I get to the airport and I have my little carry-on bag, which is just like I stuffed the magazine, that my Groden magazine, just right in the front, right, that I just had signed. And I'm getting through the line, and it was only like an 8-minute wait. I was like, oh, hell yeah, this is going to be quick. And Mike was joking when he got in that when he went through the, security, there was a guy that was like, oh, I got to take my shoes off. And I was like, no problems here. No, everyone knew to take their shoe off. And so I'm going through the security, and my bag gets like beeped. And they take it to like the guy grabs it to take it to the secondary check, but he asked me first. He's like, "Oh, you got like a water bottle in here?" And I was like, "Water bottle? That's crazy, sir. I do not have a water bottle in there. am a responsible person. Oh my God, my knife. I accidentally had my knife on me. The guy looked very pissed when I said that. And yeah, he had to take my bag for full inspection. He's like, "You fucking bitch." I was literally, because I had to go, like, I also had to go off to a secondary point, like, and put my feet on the, put your feet on the thing. And I was literally just like, I'm sorry. You can just throw that away. You can throw that away. I was just like repeating it. I was like, throw it away. Just throw it away. I was like, please don't arrest me. I really loved that knife, and I was really sad that I gave up so easily. I didn't fight.
You're not going to win.
No. Sir, this is America. I'm just traveling.
Yeah.
So my knife was confiscated. I was allowed through. My magazine got a little tussled, and I was literally like, "Hey, be careful with that."
I may have committed a crime bringing a knife to the carry-on, but
hey, I haven't read that yet.
Yeah, I demand to be treated with dignity and respect.
Yeah,
even though I'm basically in your eyes a fucking terrorist at this point.
So I went through, and then I got home, and it was fine after that. Yeah, that was good, and it was a good trip. Yeah, I learned a lot.
Yeah. I really, it was something that I always wanted to do, and it was very informative to me just to actually be there. And I really feel like if you're pilled on this shit and you're just obsessed with it, that going to Dealey Plaza, for me, it was very demystifying. It's like, again, you watch the movie JFK, and he's talking about this guy had an epileptic seizure to let the kill teams get in place. And that place is so small that no, the kill teams would not have gotten in place. The kill teams would not have been able to trick people into not noticing them if some guy had fallen on the sidewalk and started tweaking. Like, that's just ridiculous. It's just a really small chunk of land, and the president happened to get shot there. But if you look at it, I mean, it would have been really awesome if I had gone there and it kind of blew my mind. And I'm like, there's no way Oswald could have made that shot. I would have been so awesome if Dealey Plaza had pilled me. But it actually instead confirmed my priors. I really didn't see a lot that would have made me think otherwise. And I just think that it was... the other thing that was really funny was just, as Haley mentioned, this is just another piece of town for the locals. Like, people are driving on the street all the time. No one cares. There was this one nut who the murder X is in the middle. There's 3 lanes. The murder X is in the middle lane. There was a guy who literally stopped his car in the right lane in front of the murder X. Just stopped his car. Like, there was a guy behind him who had to like swerve around him to keep going. And I was just like, what are you doing? What planet are you on to think that this is a reasonable or coherent thing to do, to just like stop your car in the middle of traffic? Like, this isn't some sort of tourist site. You're not on a tour bus. You're just like, I'm driving through Dealey Plaza. Time to just park my car on the highway. Fuck it. What do I care? It's like, what are you doing? Yeah, so between the dumb idiots running into the street to take photos on the X and people stopping their cars in the middle of the day, it's got to be the most annoying commute in the world. Just like, oh, God, the crazy people. Just let me get through this stupid road. I got to get to work before my boss chews me out. Oh, God. So, yeah, Dealey Plaza, small but interesting, 6th floor museum, informative and coddling to conspiracy theorists. Conspiracy theorists at Dealey Plaza on Sunday, monstrous ghouls who are into gore and all kinds of tacky shit to make a buck off of it, and all the rest of it. But yeah, 5 out of 5 stars for Dealey Plaza and Jerry World. 0 out of 5 stars for the weather and the traffic. If you go, make sure you get a hotel very close to Dealey Plaza and try to coordinate around that, because... And show up in the winter. Show up around December or whatever. Because if you like, this was the end of September, the beginning of October. Like, this is not summer. this is supposed to be the fall. And it was just the sweatiest city I have ever been in. I was just pouring sheets the whole time. Just like, oh my God, just chugging water, trying to stay hydrated. Just brutal. A brutal town.
Yeah, it was hot. It was hot. I'm from Arizona, and it's like, damn, it's hot. It's sweaty.
Yeah.
I got a Buc-ee's shirt.
Yes.
That was the first time I'd ever seen a Buc-ee's.
I had never even knew what Buc-ee's was until you showed up with that shirt. So, yes. So any other final thoughts about our exploration in Dallas?
Nope. I think we got it.
Boom. Absolutely the most anticlimactic finish to a podcast ever. Boom. Okay. So this is a weird special episode, but hey, I'm going to do the shill at the end anyways, because that's what
I hope you enjoyed our trip.
Yes. I hope this was fun and informative and somewhat enjoyable. If you enjoy listening to us schmucks talking, please give us a 5-star review, viral media, all that kind of stuff. Grow our tiny little podcast, make it a beautiful flower that's larger than it currently is.
Let us go see other tragic sites of American tragedy.
Yes, let's. Yeah, we'll go do Garfield and McKinley next. No one ever gives those guys any love. I mean, no one even remembers that they're the other two presidents who got clipped. I saw Ford Theater when I was a kid. So,
I've been to the 9/11 memorial. There was actually a wall that was like American sites of tragedy, and it's like fucking 4 things. And it was like,
wow, America's had a pretty good run. If it's
it's like, dang, we do a lot. But there's not. Anyways, so yeah, the 9/11 was one of them, and it was I've been there. So I've already hit quite a few of them because there wasn't that many on the list.
So anyhow, I will ignore Haley's interrupting of me shilling to get back to shilling. So if you enjoyed the podcast and wish to give us money, please go to patreon.com/pokerpolitics, where for $5 a month or more, you can get access to our bonus content and hear me talk about the Kennedy assassination a lot. The foulest deed is a very big thing that I did a lot of research on and talked about for tons. Also, we make fun of 2,000 Mules. We also make fun of Out of Shadows and also Fall Cabal. Those are some other deep cut QAnon stuff that we've done media research on. If giving money to us chucklefucks isn't something you want to do, but you do want to give money to somebody, please give it to love146.org. They are an organization whose goal is the end of human trafficking. The music that was provided at the start was done by DJ Minimal Effort, and when we use bumps, that is done by Frosty VO, which you can find on Twitter. So for all those good people and for Haley, this is Mike Rains saying, good speed, Patriots.